Hi, so my name's Zach Simmons. I'm an assistant professor of physics at the Milwaukee School of Engineering, and the purpose of this video is to give you a little bit more information and context, and hopefully show you, demonstrate a couple things related to the poster that I put together for the symposium. So, for context, over the last year we've been operating in a hybrid situation at MSOE. So we've tried to prioritize labs as one of our in-person activities, but we just can't do as many as we normally would because of the restrictions on the number of students that we can have in one place. So in addition to the few in-person labs where we've tried to kind of make the most of the equipment that we have and stuff, we've supplemented this with stuff online, so simulations or data analysis of real lab data, but also with these cell phone-based data acquisition experiments. And some of these I think are pretty good, and it's kind of a nice thing that it's sort of forced, the situation has sort of forced us to look at some new ideas and kind of do some things differently. And I would like to think that some of these exercises are maybe better in some ways, in that it kind of it's on the students to design the experiment a little bit more, or can be, as opposed to some of our experiments in contrast are really pretty formulaic. It's like they do this particular thing in this particular way and analyze it in this particular way, and I just don't know if that's a great way to go about doing things. So I think this is a really good thing maybe to have in the mix. I'd like to think too that we can kind of bring this forward and to take what we've learned, and it would be useful in situations where if you don't have access to lab equipment, or if you're a remote student, you could take advantage of these kinds of experiments. Or if I'm thinking kind of most optimistically, I would like to think that exercises like this would help encourage our students to maybe take a lab mindset and apply it to the world that they encounter. If they have a data acquisition tool in their pocket, can they can that help them kind of think as a scientist outside of the lab? Can we have them look at the world a little bit differently? So I think the best way to get a feel for this is to just install the app FEFOX on your phone and play around with it. You can see pretty quickly in there the list of experiments and things that it can do, and it's pretty neat. I mean, phones are really sophisticated these days. In terms of, if you're looking at the poster, I mentioned 3 experiments. I'll try and demonstrate a couple things here. So there's an experiment that looks at static friction. So that's really simple. It just looks at the inclination of the phone. So you put the phone on a surface and you tilt it until it slides, and the accelerometers in the phone give you the angle, how tilted the phone is, and so you can use that angle, and the students can pull out the coefficient of static friction. The elevator lab, I can't really show you that one, but there's some data that's on the poster. Just records, the acceleration of the phone, and then they can do. It's kind of maybe a nice in for students to do numerical integration, which is definitely an activity that I think is good for students in mechanics to get, and it can be kind of hard to get good data for that. And it's cool because if they're doing it in the elevator, they're feeling that too, and so they can kind of correlate what they're observing with what they record on their phone, which I think is nice. And then the last one, the Pendulum Lab. Here, I'll try and show you here what I had in mind. So you can basically, I'm just going to take my phone and make a simple pendulum here with a piece of cardboard. It's a little tricky in that you want to keep the phone from twisting, so that's why I'm using a piece of cardboard. But something that I want to show you is you can tether your phone to your computer, so you can be watching what the phone is seeing on your computer. So this lets me, let me switch to my screen here, and I'll see if I can show you what I mean. So you should see now FEFOX on my computer, and if I have my pendulum set up and swing the pendulum, you can see some wiggles, oscillations on the computer, and you can use this for other things too. So let me switch back to the video. So, this was me. I was just swinging the phone, but you could see the oscillations. And you could do this also with a phone that's spinning. So this is pretty nice for having students investigate centripetal acceleration, which I think is one of the trickier things in intro mechanics for students to visualize. But you can measure a centripetal acceleration, put it on a turntable or stick it in a bicycle wheel and spin the phone and observe that. And so this is something, if you think of trying to do this with like a Pasco, with something that's wired, you can't even do it. So it's there's a fair amount of data acquisition capability there, and hopefully this gives you a taste for some of what you can do with it.